I was born with iron around my wrists. Not real iron, but something worse. A pale ring of silver beneath the skin, the kind midwives whispered about. A slave mark. A prophecy mark. A warning. By 18, the rings no longer looked like birthmarks. They glowed softly on full moons, tightening around my skin as if invisible shackles were waiting for a key I would never touch. Tonight, under the cold moon of Silvercrest, they burned so fiercely I could hardly breathe. Head down, Elowen, Mistress Mervyn hissed, fingers digging into my shoulder. If the Alpha's guards see your eyes, they'll think you're bold. I lowered my gaze automatically. Obedience lived in my spine. Around us, hundreds of villagers packed into the moonlit square, breath fogging, torches crackling, stone walls rising like a cage. The Alpha King himself had come to our district. Rumors said he was searching for something. Or someone. Remember, Mervyn whispered, nails biting. You bow when everyone bows. You don't speak. You don't think. You don't exist? I muttered. She pinched me hard. Slaves don't joke. I swallowed the pain. She was right. Slaves didn't get humor, only tasks, hunger, and silence. Far ahead, the square fell into a hush. A tall figure stepped onto the raised platform. Even with my eyes lowered, the air shifted, thick, electric, instinctively bowing to the power that walked among us. The Alpha King, Caelries of Silvercrest. My heart lurched painfully. I risked a glance upward. He was taller than any tale, broad-shouldered, armor rimmed with frost-born steel. A black fur mantle draped over his shoulders, catching the torchlight like winter flame. But his eyes were molten silver, alive, searching, hunting for something unseen. When his gaze swept toward me, my wrists flared like fire beneath my skin. I gasped, clutching them. Don't look at me, I begged silently. I'm no one. His eyes flicked past, then snapped back. For a single impossible heartbeat, the Alpha King and a slave girl stared at each other across the packed square. Something inside me, something small and bruised from years of silence, surged upward like it had finally found air. And if you're listening to this on YouTube right now, take a moment to subscribe for more stories like these and comment where you're watching from, because this moment changes everything. The Alpha King's fingers tightened on the railing. That one, Caelries said, voice quiet but echoing across stone. Bring her to me. Silence broke. Guards followed his gaze, directly to me. Mistress Mervyn, someone hissed. What did she do? I don't know, she whispered, terrified. Goddess help us. I don't know. The guards pushed through the crowd, spears lifting. The girl with the moon-banded wrists, Caelries added, as if the entire kingdom hadn't already heard him choose me. The world I'd known, tiny, caged, cracked open like ice underfoot. And the Alpha King had reached through the shards and chosen me. The guards herded me forward, careful not to touch my wrists where the glowing rings pulsed with heat. They guided me with spears, as if afraid my skin might burn them. My legs felt wooden climbing the steps. Elowen, one whispered. What are you? I had no answer. The last time anyone asked who I was, the slave broker had answered for me. A girl with a mark. A burden. Nothing more. But the way Caelries watched me now, like I was the final line of a prophecy he'd prayed to forget, made those words feel suddenly untrue. Name, the Alpha King said when I reached him. Elowen, my king. His voice softened. How old? 18. The counselors murmured. Caelries ignored them, eyes fixed on my wrists, as if drawn by fate. Who owns you? He asked. Mistress Mervyn stumbled forward. I do, your majesty. She is mine. Registered, obedient, quiet. If she has offended. You registered her, Caelries interrupted slowly. With wrists like those? Mervyn went pale. A birthmark, my king. Nothing more. Show them, he commanded. I froze. Please! Elowen. His voice dropped, powerful enough to curl around my bones. Show me. My fingers moved on their own. I unwound the dirty cloth from my wrists. Gasps tore through the crowd. The twin bands blazed bright, moonlight glowing under my skin, silver, pure, ancient. Destiny rings. Legends said they belonged only to the Omega, destined to break the Alpha King's curse. Kaori stepped closer, breath unsteady. When were you born? He asked. On the longest night, I whispered. Under the blood moon eclipse. A sound escaped him, not surprise, not fear, something deeper. Counselor Ren choked. The prophecy. The Omega born in chains with moonlit bands, the king's fated salvation. The square erupted. Kaori lifted my wrist gently, reverently. Elowen, he said, voice ringing through the night. You are not a slave. My breath stopped. You are the one the moon chose for me. My destined Omega. My curse breaker. His eyes shone like silver fire. You belong to yourself, and if you accept it, you belong at my side. The carriage rattled through the frozen forest long after the sun disappeared, wheels crunching over ice and old roots. I kept my shackled hands tucked beneath the thin cloak they'd given me, pretending it was for warmth, and not to hide the shaking. Across from me, 2 warriors in the Alpha King's black and silver colors sat like carved stone, eyes fixed anywhere but on the slave girl chained in their custody. Outside the narrow window, tall pines blurred into a wall of shadow. I could feel the bond tug again, that strange invisible thread that had snapped to life back at the altar when the kingdom screamed and the sky seemed to shudder. It pulled from ahead now, from somewhere beyond the dark tree line, as if the air itself knew where I was being taken. To the capital? I finally whispered, my voice too small for the iron-braced carriage. One of the warriors shifted. To the citadel, he said. To the Alpha King. The title sat between us like a living thing. I'd heard it 1,000 times in whispers and old stories, how he'd conquered 3 rival packs in one winter, how his wolves ran like shadows over the mountains, how even the priesthood bent their knees. But no story had ever said what you were supposed to do if fate tied you to a monster you'd only ever known through fear. What will he do with me? I asked. The warrior's jaw flexed. That is not for us to say. Which meant, we don't know, or we know and you won't like it. I leaned my head back against the wood and watched my breath fog the air. If I closed my eyes, I could still see the altar's cold stone beneath my bare feet, the way the priest's knife had hovered over my palm before the unseen bond snapped like lightning through the kingdom. Wolves had howled miles away. The priest had dropped the blade. And somewhere, far from that tiny mountain village, a king had felt it too. Born with no freedom, the elders had always reminded me. Born to serve, born to kneel, born to bleed. But bond or not, I was still me. The thought curled stubborn and small inside my chest like an ember refusing to die. The carriage finally slowed. I peeked out the window and my breath caught. The citadel rose from the mountainside like it had grown out of the rock itself, towering walls of black stone, banners of silver and deep blue snapping in the wind, torches burning along the battlements like a necklace of fire. Above it all, the Alpha King's tower speared the sky, its windows glowing faintly against the night. Gates groaned open. The carriage rolled through a tunnel of stone and echoing hoofbeats, then emerged into a wide courtyard dusted in snow. Warriors in dark armor watched as I was pulled from the carriage, their eyes sharp, their expressions unreadable. Somewhere high above, I felt the bond tug again, sharper now, as if the air itself drew a breath. Keep your head down, one of the warriors murmured as they led me toward a set of iron doors. The council will be watching. The council? I repeated. They think the king should reject the bond. A pause. Some fear you already doomed us when that altar flared. My steps faltered. And what does he think? The warrior's gaze flicked to the tower high above. That, he said quietly, is what you're about to find out. The iron doors creaked open on a hall lined with flickering torches and carved wolves leaping along the stone. My bare feet were silent on the cold floor as they guided me forward, deeper into the heart of the kingdom that had never once belonged to me, until fate decided it did. The torches along the high stone hallway flickered as if they sensed me. As if the air itself shifted with every step I took deeper into the citadel. My escort said nothing, but the bond tug thrummed stronger with each heartbeat, a silent compass pulling me towards something inevitable. Or someone. At the end of the corridor, two massive doors stood carved from ironwood and reinforced with dark silver, a metal I'd only heard whispered about in slave quarters. Moon steel. A metal forged for kings and curses. A guard stepped forward. Announce her. The warrior beside me hesitated only a breath. Elowen, the marked one. There was a beat of silence. Then, enter, came a voice from beyond the door. Not shouted. Not cold. But powerful enough that the sound rolled through the hall like distant thunder. The guards pushed open the doors. And there he was. Kael'Rese. The Alpha King. The man fate had tethered me to, as if my soul had been a hook waiting for a line. He stood before a tall arched window, moonlight pouring around him in silver ribbons. His armor was gone now. He wore dark linen and a black wool fur mantle draped across one shoulder. It softened him. No, not softened, exactly. Revealed something human beneath the crown, something tired and haunted. But his eyes, those molten silver eyes, brightened the moment they found me. The bond pulled taut. He dismissed the guards with a flick of his hand. They obeyed instantly, leaving us alone in the vast chamber, the doors closing with a heavy thud that echoed like a heartbeat. I swallowed, unsure what to do. Kneel? Bow? Stand? Kael'Rese stepped forward, slow, deliberate, not taking his eyes off mine. I thought they would deliver you by morning, he said quietly. I'm glad they didn't. Glad? My pulse raced. You asked for me. I managed. He stopped only a few feet away, close enough to feel the heat of him, close enough for the bond to thrum like a living thing between us. I didn't ask for you. His voice softened, a crack forming in the steel. I was called to you. My breath hitched. He lifted one hand slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. His fingers brushed my wrist, and the silver rings flared bright, lighting the dim chamber. I gasped as warmth rippled through me, not burning now but blooming alive. Kael'Rese swallowed hard, his jaw tightening. Your mark, it reacts to me. To the bond, I whispered. His eyes lifted to mine, searching, stormy. Do you feel it too? I hesitated. Because how could I explain the thing thrashing inside my chest? The way my wolf, long quiet, long beaten, paced restlessly beneath my skin now, sensing a future she wasn't sure she trusted? Yes, I breathed. I feel it. Kael'Rese exhaled shakily, as if he'd been holding that breath for years. He took another step closer. I need you to understand something, he said. The prophecy didn't say you would be noble, or powerful, or willing. It only said you would be the one born in chains. His voice dipped, shadowed. The one cursed with me. Cursed. That word hit differently up close. What curse? I whispered. It is the reason the land is dying, he said. Why wolves are losing strength. Why I cannot sleep without nightmares clawing through my mind. His eyes darkened. Every Alpha King carries it. But the seer said only one Omega could break it, the Omega with destiny rings. You. Me. A slave girl. Born in a gutter. Carrying a destiny meant for royalty. But I don't understand, I said softly. Why me? Why choose someone with no freedom, no voice, no... Elowen. His tone sharpened, stopping my spiral. You were never meant to be a slave. And the way he said it, not gentle but fierce, made something in my chest crack open. Kael'Rese stepped closer until he was only inches away. I could feel his breath. His presence wrapped around me like a cloak. I need to show you something, he said. Something only my fated Omega can see. My heart hammered. What is it? He extended his hand. Come with me. I stared at his hand, strong, waiting, impossibly steady, as if it were a doorway I could choose to step through. Freedom. Danger. Destiny. All tangled into one outstretched hand. I set my trembling fingers into his. The ground trembled beneath us. The moonlight flared white. A shock of cold fire streaked up my arms. Kilries leaned in, voice low and reverent. The bond recognizes you. And for the first time in 18 years, something in the world finally did. The moment Kilries' hand closed around mine, the chamber lights flickered, torches bending inward as if bowing to something ancient and newly awakened. A deep, resonant hum swelled through the walls, a sound I felt more than heard, like the heartbeat of the citadel itself was reacting to us. Do not let go, Kilries murmured. As if I could. The warmth of his hand anchored me while everything else trembled. He guided me toward a large arc of stone at the back of the chamber, an archway I'd mistaken for decoration. Now its carvings pulsed faintly, glowing veins of silver winding through ancient runes. It wasn't decoration. It was alive. What is this? I whispered. The Moonforge Gate, Kilries said. It reveals truth to the destined pair. A truth it has refused to show any other alpha before me. He paused, glancing at me. For years I believed it was a myth. Until the moment your marks awakened. My heart thudded painfully. The gate loomed before us like a mouth carved by gods, waiting to swallow us whole. Step inside with me, he said. Inside? The archway was solid stone. I don't understand. You will. He tightened his grip. Moonlight filled the room, blinding, icy, electric. For a split second, I wondered if walking through a wall was the last, cruel joke fate would play on me. But Kilries stepped forward, pulling me through. And the stone dissolved like mist. Cold air rushed past. The ground vanished. My stomach lurched as if I'd fallen off the edge of the world. Then, light. Snow. A clearing beneath an endless night sky, the moon enormous above us like a watchful eye. I staggered, gasping, a swirl of frost curling around my boots. Kilries stayed beside me, steady as a mountain, though even he seemed to draw a sharp breath at the sight before us. We stood in a silent realm. A forest of silver trees stretched out in every direction, their branches glowing as though carved from starlight. Snow drifted slowly but never touched the ground. The air felt thick with magic, old, cold, heavy with prophecy. Where are we? I whispered in awe. This is the Moonrealm, Kilries said quietly. The place the gate shows only to the one who can break the curse. The snow beneath our feet rippled like a reflection in water. A shimmer of movement caught my eye, shadows taking shape. Figures formed from smoke and moonlight. Wolves. Tall, spectral wolves with silver eyes like burning stars. They circled us silently, paws never touching the ground. Instinct screamed at me to freeze. My wolf surged, pressing against my skin, wide awake and trembling. They are the guardians, Kilries said softly. They watch. They judge. He turned, meeting my gaze. And they have been waiting for you. One of the wolves stepped forward, a massive shape with a mane of shimmering frost. Slowly its gaze dropped to my wrists. My silver rings glowed brighter, brighter, until light streamed from them like liquid moonfire. The wolf lowered its head to me in a bow. My breath caught. Kilries. Why is it bowing? Because it recognizes the one who can free us, he said, voice rough. My curse, our kingdom's sickness. It all began long before I was born. The wolf lifted its head and opened its jaws, yet instead of sound, a vision washed over the clearing. A king crowned in moonlight. A queen wreathed in darkness. A betrayal written in blood. And a curse born from broken vows. The images burned through me, flashing fast and sharp. A wolf king falling to his knees, clutching his chest as shadows bound him. A queen screaming his name, her hands tearing against invisible chains. Rivers drying. Mountains cracking. Wolves collapsing. The land crying out. And then, a prophecy etched into the sky itself. Born in chains, marked by Moonfire. She alone will bind the darkness. She alone will break the king. Break the king. Free the king. Save the king. The vision snapped away. I collapsed to my knees, gasping, gripping my burning wrists. Kael'rez dropped beside me instantly. Elowen? His hands cupped my shoulders. Are you hurt? I saw it, I breathed. The curse. The prophecy. All of it. His expression darkened. You saw more than I ever have. The guardians circled closer. Watching. Waiting. Judging. Kael'rez brushed my hair from my face, fingers trembling just once. Elowen, this is why I needed you to see the truth. He lowered his forehead to mine, an alpha kneeling before a girl born in chains. You think fate dragged us together because I am a king? He whispered, breath warm against my skin. But it chose you, because you are stronger than one. My pulse thundered. I'm not strong, I said shakily. I'm barely surviving. His hands slid down to my wrists. The silver rings glowed where he touched. You survived slavery, he said. You survived cruelty. You survived being told you were nothing. His voice softened, roughened. Surviving is strength. And your strength is what will save us all. The air shimmered. Snow stilled midair. The guardians stopped circling. The frost-maned wolf lifted its head. And howled. A sound that ripped through the realm. A sound that meant one thing. The moon realm had accepted me. Kael'rez exhaled a breath he'd held for years. Elowen, the bond is sealed. The silver rings on my wrists blazed. The ground flashed. Light swallowed us. When my vision cleared, we were back in the chamber. Kael'rez still held my hand. Snowflakes melted in his hair. But something was different. The mark of a king, once dim, now glowed fiercely across his forearm, intertwining with mine as if our destinies were threads woven by the same hand. It has begun, he whispered. And I knew. Nothing in the kingdom would ever be the same again. The chamber felt smaller now. As if the moon realm had stretched something inside me that no stone walls could contain again. The silver rings on my wrist still pulsed faintly, matching the glow along Kael'rez's forearm. We were connected now in a way I didn't understand, and in a way I wasn't sure I could escape even if I wanted to. A soft knock echoed from the doors. Before Kael'rez could answer, they swung open. A tall man entered, wrapped in deep navy robes embroidered with the sigil of the priesthood. His hair was silver, but not from age. Every priest's hair lost its color the day they were bound to the goddess. His name slipped onto my tongue before anyone spoke it, as though the moon realm had whispered it to me. High Priest Rydros, Kael'rez said with clear tension. The priest's pale eyes flicked to me. Not with disgust, but with the sharp curiosity of someone examining a prophecy he never expected to see alive. So it is true, Rydros murmured. The destiny rings have awakened. I stepped instinctively closer to Kael'rez. Rydros noticed. His lips twitched, not quite a smile. A bold thing, my king, he said, to bring her here without council approval. Kael'rez's jaw tightened. I do not need council approval for what is mine. The priest raised an eyebrow. Is she yours, by choice? A strange, soft flush rose in my chest. Kael'rez didn't look away from me when he answered. Yes. My breath caught. Not just because he said it, but because he said it without hesitation. Rydros's gaze sharpened. The council will question this. So will the nobles. A king binding himself to an Omega born in chains. Born with destiny, Kael'rez growled. Not chains. The priest hesitated, studying me more closely. Elowen, he said gently, stepping forward. May I see your wrists? My instinct screamed no. But Kilrea's hand brushed my elbow, grounding me. "It's safe," he murmured. Slowly, I lifted my wrists. The priest inhaled sharply. "Moonfire," he whispered. "Pure. Uncorrupted. The rings are fully awakened." His eyes flicked to Kilrea's. "And they have tied themselves to your bond mark as well." Kilrea's voice dropped. "It happened the moment the Moonrealm accepted her." Rydros bowed his head. "Then the prophecy is already in motion." His voice trembled. "Not with fear, but reverence. She is the one who can save us." Save. The word hit me harder than any other. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do," I admitted quietly. "I don't understand any of this." Rydros gave a small, knowing smile. "No prophecy ever begins with understanding. Only with being chosen." But chosen didn't mean ready. Kilrea stepped to my side, as if shielding me from the weight of every gaze and expectation in the kingdom. "You don't need to understand it yet," he said softly. "You only need to stay alive." His voice darkened. "And that is already more dangerous than you know." The priest nodded grimly. "By dawn, the council will demand to see her." I stiffened. "Why? To judge me?" "No," Rydros said. "To challenge you." Kilrea's hand clenched. Rydros continued. "There are those who believe the curse can be broken another way, through sacrifice." A cold chill crawled down my spine. "Sacrifice? Who?" The priest hesitated. Kilrea's answered for him, voice lethal quiet. "You, Elowen." My lungs squeezed painfully. "What?" I breathed. Why would sacrificing me help anything?" "Because they fear what they cannot control," Rydros said. "To them, you are unpredictable magic. Unbound power. A threat. They will not touch her." Kilrea's voice was steel. "Not while I breathe." Rydros inclined his head. "I will support you, my king. But the council will not stay silent." "You must prepare her." "Prepare me for what?" I whispered. Kilrea's looked at me, and for the first time since the Moonrealm, I saw something brittle in his eyes, fear not for himself, but for me. "For a kingdom that will either worship you." He reached up, brushing a stray tear I didn't realize had fallen. "Or try to tear you apart." My breath trembled. "What do I do?" Kilrea stepped closer, so close the air between us warmed. "You stay with me," he said quietly. "You let me protect you. You trust the bond." His voice dipped, soft and rough all at once. "And no matter what comes next, you do not run from me." The promise in his words wrapped around me like a cloak of warmth against the cold. But before I could answer, a deep horn blared from outside the window. A warning horn. Rydros' face went pale. "They're early." Kilrea cursed under his breath. "Elowen," he said urgently, turning toward me. "Stay behind me. Do not speak unless I tell you to. And whatever happens, do not reveal fear. The council smells it like blood." My pulse hammered. Outside the chamber doors, footsteps thundered. The council had come. And they were not coming with welcome. The chamber doors shook under the force of fists and boots. A demand, not a request. Kilrea shifted instantly, stepping in front of me, his presence swelling with alpha command so thick it felt like the air pressed against my chest. His shadow blocked the light, his silhouette sharp and protective. Rydros moved beside us, staff glowing faintly as the runes along its shaft awakened. A muffled voice barked from the other side of the doors. "Kilrea of Silvercrest, open these doors. The council demands immediate audience." Kilrea growled low in his throat. Not human, not tame. A sound that made the torches bend as if bowing. "Do not speak," he whispered to me. "Do not move. They cannot see you frightened." He stepped forward, sweeping his dark mantle behind him, his posture tall and merciless as a winter storm. The doors slammed open. A flood of counselors swept in, tall figures in layered robes of blue, silver, and black. Their wolves stood behind them, spectral and sharp, their eyes gleaming with judgment. The leader stepped forward. Counselor Talendrin. A man carved from thin ice. Long silver hair braided down his back, every line in his face tight with disdain. His gaze landed on Kaori's first. Majesty, Talendrin said stiffly, you have violated protocol. The council was not informed of your. Then he saw me. The room dropped into silence. Every counselor froze mid-step. Every wolf stilled, breath condensing in the cold air. My wrists glowed. Bright. Alive. Undeniable. Talendrin inhaled sharply, masking shock with anger. So the rumors are true, he said, voice dripping poison. The chains-born Omega exists. Kaori stepped slightly to the side. Not exposing me, but revealing me. You will address her with respect, he growled. A wave of murmurs spread through the council. Talendrin's eyes narrowed at Kaori's glowing bond mark. So the bond has already taken root. Kaori's jaw tightened. It chose her the moment I saw her. Convenient, Talendrin spat. For a king desperate to end a curse. Kaori's alpha aura flared so sharply half the council stepped back. She is not convenient, the king snarled. She is destiny. Talendrin turned his gaze on me. Slow, cutting, full of calculation. Speak, Omega. I flinched. Kaori's growled. She will speak when I permit her to. He snapped. Talendrin ignored him. How long were you in chains, girl? Do not address her that way, Kaori's warned. Chains breed weakness, Talendrin continued coldly. How can someone of low birth break a curse born from the blood of kings? Unless, his lips curled. She is the sacrifice required to end it. My breath seized. Kaori's moved so fast I didn't see him until he was inches from Talendrin, silver fire blazing in his eyes. If you touch her, I will end your bloodline myself. Gasps erupted. Some fearful. Some thrilled. Talendrin raised both hands, expression mocking. So protective already, he said softly. And yet, his gaze flicked to my wrists. She glows like the sacrifice. Kaori's lunged. Rydros thrust his staff between them, runes bursting in light. Enough! The priest thundered. The moon realm has chosen her. The destiny rings are awakened. Our path is clear. Talendrin sneered. I will not bow to a gutter-born Omega who. Silver light exploded. Not from Kaori's. Not from Rydros. From me. My wrists blazed white. Moonfire pouring off my skin in spirals, curling around my arms like liquid light. The torches dimmed. The air stilled. The wolves fell silent. Talendrin stumbled back, eyes wide. What is this? Kaori's turned toward me in shock, reaching as if afraid I might collapse. Elowen? A voice. Not mine, but inside me. Echoed through the hall. I am not born of chains. I am born of prophecy. The council fell to their knees, some from fear, others from awe. Rydros bowed his head, whispering prayers. Kaori stood frozen, breath trembling, eyes locked on me. Elowen! His voice cracked. You channeled the moon realm. The light pulsed again. One last bright flash. Then faded softly. My knees buckled. Kaori's caught me instantly, arms closing around me before I hit the stone. His warmth anchored me back into my body. It's all right, he whispered, voice shaking against my hair. I've got you. I've got you. But I wasn't listening to his words. I was listening to the echo that still whispered inside me. The curse begins to break with her first breath of power. The council stared at me in terrified silence. Kaori's held me like I was something sacred. And somewhere deep inside, the prophecy awakened something new. Something dangerous. Something that would change the fate of every wolf in the kingdom. Kaori's carried me from the chamber before the council could find their courage again. His arms were solid around me, one beneath my knees, one around my back, as if the pulse of Moonfire through my veins had made me weightless. The doors slammed behind us. Silence fell. Only the distant hiss of torches echoed through the long stone corridor. Kael'rese didn't set me down right away. His breath shook once, barely audible, but I felt it against my hair. The bond between us hummed like a live wire, warm, fierce, protective. "Are you hurt?" His voice was low, strained. I don't think so," I whispered. The moonfire had burned through me like a storm, but there was no pain now, just a faint afterglow settling into my skin, like cool embers beneath the surface. Kael'rese exhaled shakily. He lowered me to my feet, but his hands remained at my waist until I found balance. His eyes searched mine. Not for weakness. For signs I might vanish if he blinked. "You must tell me what you felt," he said quietly. "What you heard." I hesitated, glancing around the hall. "Not here," he murmured, already reading my unease. "Come." He led me through a side passage lined with carved wolves and moon sigils. At the end stood a narrow, arched door. He opened it, gesturing for me to enter first. What awaited inside stole my breath. A small, circular chamber bathed entirely in moonlight, its domed ceiling open to the sky, snow drifting softly into a shallow pool of silver water. It wasn't cold, though the air shimmered with frost. Soft blue fire burned in sconces around the walls. "This," Kael'rese said gently, "is the sanctuary. My sanctuary. No one enters without my permission." He stepped inside, closing the door behind us. The bond tug grew stronger. Kael'rese approached me slowly, as though afraid sudden movement might frighten me all over again. "Elowen," he murmured, "the council will fear you now. They already did before, but after what you just did, they will see you as the prophecy incarnate. A weapon. A threat. Or both." My heart tightened. "I didn't mean to scare them." "You didn't," he said. "Prophecy did." He moved closer, the glow of the sanctuary reflecting off his silver eyes. "What did you hear, when the moonfire took hold?" I swallowed and looked down at my wrists, still faintly glowing. "A voice," I whispered. "Not mine, not human, something ancient." Kael'rese's breath hitched. "What did it say?" "That I wasn't born of chains," I murmured. "That I was born of prophecy." He closed his eyes as if the words struck deep. "And something else," I continued, my voice trembling. "It said the curse begins to break with my first breath of power." Kael'rese lifted my chin gently. "Elowen," he whispered, "the moment you unleashed Moonfire, something changed in me." My breath caught. "Changed how?" He stepped back, pulling off his left glove. Underneath, swirling lines of moonsteel blue glowed across his forearm, his bond mark, once dim, now burning bright, weaving itself toward my destiny rings like a tether of light. "This has never happened," he said. "My bond mark was dormant all my life. The curse dampened it. No matter how hard I tried, I could never summon my wolf fully. Not without agony." He looked up at me. "But now, it moves." As if responding to his words, his mark brightened, threads of silver winding upward toward his elbow like an awakening constellation. I stepped closer, unable to stop myself. "Does it hurt?" "No." His voice dropped to a confessing whisper. "It feels like breathing after drowning." The room tilted gently around me. Kael'rese watched my reaction, careful, patient. "Elowen," he said softly, "you are breaking the curse already." The words should have frightened me. Instead, warmth unfurled in my chest. Like the moonfire had left a spark inside me that refused to die. Just then, the sanctuary door burst open. A warrior, panting, pale, bowed his head deeply. "My king! Forgive the interruption, but the nobles have begun to gather in the main courtyard." Kael'rese's expression darkened immediately. "For what purpose?" he demanded. The warrior hesitated. "A demonstration, my king." He swallowed hard. They are calling for the chains born Omega, to be tested. My stomach dropped. Tested? I whispered. Kael'Reese stepped in front of me, fury rippling from him like heat. They want proof you are not a danger, the warrior said. Or proof that you are. Kael'Reese's voice was low, lethal. They will not touch her. They say, the warrior added carefully, that if you do not bring her, they will assume the prophecy is false. Rhydrose appeared behind the warrior, pale and breathless. Kael'Reese, the priest said urgently, you cannot refuse them. Not publicly. Refusal will tear the kingdom apart. Kael'Reese turned to me. His voice softened, but his eyes burned with a storm. Elowen, he said, I will not take you there unless you choose it. Choose it. Me. A girl who never chose anything in her life. My heart beat so loud I felt it in my fingertips. What happens if I don't go? I asked quietly. Rhydrose answered before Kael'Reese could. The nobles may turn on the king. They may turn on the people. Chaos could spread. And if I go? My voice trembled. Kael'Reese stepped closer until his forehead nearly touched mine. If you go, he said softly, I will be at your side. Every breath. Every heartbeat. No one will lay a finger on you. Not while I stand. The bond hummed between us, warm, fierce, alive. This was the moment the old Elowen would have been silent for, waiting for orders. But the new Elowen, the one chosen by prophecy. She lifted her chin. I'll go, I whispered. Take me to them. Kael'Reese closed his eyes. Not in anger, but relief. And something tender. You are braver than any king, he murmured. He offered me his hand. I took it. And together, we stepped out of the sanctuary. To face the kingdom waiting to judge its prophecy in the flesh. The great courtyard of the citadel felt like stepping into the jaws of a frozen beast. Snow clung to the stone arches, wind whispering through banners of deep blue and silver. Torches burned along the walls, their flames bending in the bitter air, but even fire felt cold compared to the stares fixed on me the moment Kael'Reese led me outside. Hundreds of nobles lined the courtyard. Warriors in full armor stood behind them. Their wolves, spectral forms shimmering in frostlight, paced restlessly, sensing tension thick enough to choke on. All of them silent. All of them watching me. Kael'Reese kept my hand wrapped in his, shoulders squared, presence towering. Every step he took radiated command so heavy the air itself bowed to him. But stepping beside him, I felt the weight of 100 whispered thoughts pressing against my skin. She's too young. She's too weak. She's cursed. She's dangerous. She's going to doom us all. And from some, she could save him. Nobles parted before Kael'Reese's path like snow before fire. At the center of the courtyard stood a raised stone platform. Older than the citadel itself, carved with runes that glowed faintly under the winter moon. Waiting beside it stood Counselor Talendrin. His smile was thin and cold as ice. Majesty, he said, voice ringing loudly, we thank you for honoring our request. Kael'Reese's jaw tightened. You demanded it. Do not pretend otherwise. Talendrin's wolf, a tall, slender creature made of shadowy frost, prowled behind him, eyes fixed on me like a predator sizing up prey. This demonstration, Talendrin continued, does not aim to harm the girl. Only to ensure the safety of our people. Kael'Reese growled low in his throat. Elowen is not a threat. Talendrin's icy gaze slid to me. Then you should have no fear of the test. What test? I asked quietly. Talendrin addressed the crowd rather than me. The prophecy speaks of Moonfire, he announced. Power that can save or destroy the kingdom. His eyes glinted. We must confirm she can control it. My stomach twisted. Control it? I barely understood what it was. Rhydrose stepped forward, staff glowing with defensive magic. You risk tearing open the curse, he snapped. Forcing her power could reveal truth or danger. Talendrin interrupted flatly. Both outcomes are necessary. Kael'Rese moved slightly in front of me, voice steel. There will be no forcing. Talendrin bowed mockingly. Then let her demonstrate it willingly. I swallowed hard. Dozens of wolves circled the courtyard's edges, pacing, watching. Their instincts sensed something unnatural in me. And deeper, deeper still, I felt the bond tugging through my chest, urging caution. Elowen, Kael'Rese murmured, voice gentler as he turned toward me. You do not have to perform for them. If you refuse, we leave. Talendrin raised his voice sharply. If she refuses, we will assume the prophecy was mistaken. And the king compromised. Gasps rippled through the nobles. Compromised. A king ruled by a slave girl. A king bound by false hope. Kael'Rese's aura flared so violently snow lifted from the ground. Watch your tongue, he snarled. You speak of my fated Omega. Talendrin smirked. Then let your Omega prove she is worthy. The words stung. I hated that they stung. I stepped forward before Kael'Rese could stop me. What do you want me to do? I asked. Talendrin gestured to the ancient platform. Place your hands upon the moonstone. The moonstone gleamed like a frozen star. Rhydrose grabbed my arm urgently. Elowen, wait. That stone amplifies power. It could overwhelm you. Before I could answer, another voice cut through the courtyard. Deep. Rough. Dangerous. Let her try. The crowd parted as a broad-shouldered man strode onto the courtyard stones, his aura dark, intense, crackling with alpha power that made the wolves freeze. His hair was black as night. A scar cut across his cheek. His eyes dark amber. Fixed on me with interest sharpened like a blade. Rhydrose exhaled sharply. Gods, it's him. Who? I whispered. Kael'Rese's entire body went rigid. Elric, he said, voice like a drawn sword. Alpha of the northern peaks. Uninvited. Elric gave Kael'Rese a slow, mocking bow. Forgive me, old friend, he said smoothly. But when word spreads that the king has found his fated mate, I had to see her myself. Friend? No. There was nothing friendly in the way they stared at each other. Elric approached me with a predator's grace, stopping just outside Kael'Rese's reach. So this is the Omega of prophecy, Elric murmured. Chainsborn. Moonmarked. Pretty, too. Kael'Rese snarled, stepping between us. She is not yours to inspect. Elric's smile sharpened. Perhaps not. But prophecy belongs to the kingdom, not just your throne. He glanced at the moonstone. Let her touch it. Talendrin smirked. Even Elric agrees, let the girl prove herself. My heart pounded against my ribs. Kael'Rese turned to me, desperate softness in his voice. Elowen, you do not owe them anything. I lifted my wrists. The silver rings glowed brighter than the moon above. I need to know what I am, I whispered. Kael'Rese's breath hitched. Elowen. It's okay. I stepped closer to him. If I break, catch me. His eyes burned with anguish and pride. Always. I walked toward the ancient platform. The courtyard held its breath. Snow paused in the air. Wolves froze mid-pace. Nobles leaned forward. Before me, the moonstone pulsed faintly, as though it recognized me too. My hands trembled. I placed them on the stone. The world shattered. Moonfire erupted like a tidal wave. Not outward but inward. Pouring through my veins. Awakening every thread of destiny sleeping in my bones. My knees hit the stone. Someone screamed. Someone prayed. Someone cursed. Kael'Rese shouted my name. But his voice was swallowed by the roar of power rising from deep within me. A power that did not feel like mine alone. It felt older, hungrier, and fully awake. The moonfire swallowed everything. Sound, light, cold, fear. It surged through me like a second heartbeat, louder, deeper, ancient. The stone beneath my palms cracked, glowing veins spreading through it like roots of silver lightning. Elowen! Kael'ri's voice cut through the roar, raw and frantic. I could feel him. His bond mark burning. His fear pounding through our connection. His wolf clawing to reach me. But the moonfire wasn't hurting me. It was searching me. Calling to something buried in my bones. Then, a sudden stillness. The moonfire hushed. And a voice. The same ancient whisper from the moonrealm. Uncoiled inside my mind. This is the end of the chains. And the beginning of freedom. The power rose one last time, brilliant and sharp. And exploded upward in a column of silver light that shot into the sky. Nobles staggered back. Wolves collapsed to their knees. Rydros shielded his eyes. Elric stared in shock. But Kael'ri's ran into the light. His arms wrapped around me just as the moonfire guttered out, leaving only soft embers floating through the air like falling stars. The courtyard went silent. Every eye watched as he pulled me upright. Elowen, he whispered, voice breaking. Elowen, look at me! I opened my eyes. Gasps rippled through the courtyard. My once silver rings now glowed pure white, threads of light stretching up my arms in feather-like patterns, beautiful and terrifying. Rydros fell to his knees. The curse, he breathed. It's broken. The moonfire has chosen. The king is freed. Kael'ri's pressed his forehead to mine, breathing me in like he finally understood what peace felt like. You did it, he said softly. You broke the curse. He looked lighter. Different. As if a weight centuries old had lifted from his chest. Even his wolf, once shadowed and dull, growled with power restored. Counselor Talendrin watched in stunned silence. The nobles bowed their heads. Even Elric, jaw clenched, pride wounded, lowered his gaze. For the first time, I wasn't being judged. I was being recognized. Kael'ri's cupped my face gently, reverently. Elowen, he murmured, you are no longer chains-born. No longer hidden. No longer afraid. His thumb brushed my cheek. You are the destiny the moon wrote for me. His voice dropped to a vow. And you will never walk this kingdom alone again. My heart, so long used to hiding, finally believed him. Snow began to fall softly, shimmering as if glowing with leftover moonfire. The kingdom watched in awe as Kael'ri's raised my hand, fingers entwined with his, the white glow lighting his palm. Our future begins here, he said to the crowd, his voice ringing out through the citadel. Not in fear. Not in chains. But in unity. The nobles bowed. The wolves howled. And Kael'ri's leaned close, whispering so only I heard. Thank you for listening. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, and comment what your favorite part was. It helps our story continue. And for the first time in my life, my story was truly mine.